All right. We should be live. All right. What's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for tuning in. Oh, that's weird. Hold on. Got some stuff going on. Okay, there we go. Just making sure everything is in order here before I push the button. Stuff is like really weird here. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody.
Yes, good morning. It's Hump Day.
It is Hump Day. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. All right, so I want to talk about these people supporting what I call criminals. Well, it's not even me calling them criminals. They are criminals. I mean, everyone knows that they are. So who am I talking about? I'm talking about how the radical left, how the Democrats, they're running and jumping to the rescue in the support of these criminals. Okay, hold on one second. I'm trying to, did I get that in there right? I did put that in there right? Okay. Let's see. All right. Hopefully that'll work. Nope. What does it say? Okay. That's interesting. Why is that not working? Yep. Okay. I was trying to stream it to another location, but for some reason it's saying it can't get there, and I know it's proper. Maybe they're blocking me. But anyways, so the Democrats, we've been talking about this for ever since President Trump started deporting these hardcore criminals. We've been talking about this, every single day. And the reason why we're talking about it is because the Democrats, instead of them fighting for their constituents, instead of them standing up for the American people, they're out there fighting for these non-American citizens. I mean, they're even going outside the country, going to El Salvador. You had Maxwell Frost, you had Maxine Dexter, and Robert Garcia, along with Yasmin Atsera, running outside of the United States of America, not here doing the job of the people. Now, if I'm not mistaken, all of these people are elected officials, meaning that the American people, their constituents, voted for them, basically hired them to do the job in the will of the American people. But they're not doing that. They're getting on airplanes and they're leaving the country fighting for someone that's not even an American citizen. They're not even a citizen of these United States. They're not even, can you say that they were a resident? Can you say that? Right?
I'll say they were living here illegally.
Illegal resident. We can say that because was exactly what was taking place. Now, there's a facility, and this is where's this facility at? Is it
Yena, Louisiana?
Yena, Louisiana. And I've never heard of it before, but apparently there's a ICE detention center in Yena, Louisiana. And Democrats, this time, they didn't fly outside of the country. They flew to Louisiana to go there and to advocate for illegals that are in these ICE facilities that are probably going to get deported. Okay, well, yeah, I'm sorry, I take it back. Well, a lot of illegals do go to the ICE facilities, but these were not illegals. These were people that violated their visa/green card. You remember the whole episode when they were out in the streets of America? That's when I didn't get, Shannon. I didn't get that one. Where they were out in the streets where they were out there protesting I don't have to share it with you. You already know. Y'all remember where they were at these colleges and the universities and they were preventing students from going to class ever since October 7th and, in Israel. So they were preventing Jewish students from going to class And in their minds, they had it justified to do so. When these Jewish students had nothing to do with anything, all they wanted to do was go to class. That's all they wanted to do. They just wanted to go to class. They wanted to be left alone. That was it. That was it. But the Democrats, they were actually saying that, well, if they're peacefully protesting, then they should be able to protest. They're protesting against students that just simply want to go to the library, simply want to go to classroom. That's not, is that valid protest? I mean, what is preventing them from getting education? Is that a protest? What is that? That's harassment. That's not protesting. And they're protesting against them because they're Jewish? Is that not discrimination? How is that freedom of, how is that First Amendment rights of them? Because they were not peacefully protesting either. They're not peacefully assembling to protest against Jewish students. They were there because they didn't want Jewish students to have access to the library, to the classrooms. And some of them were yelling just really despicable things. But anyways, now that President Trump is in office, thank God. Let me say that again. Thank God President Trump is in office. And now that President Trump is in office, he's going after these people that were terrorizing these Jewish students. And you know what? It even started before Jewish students. It even started with some Christians that they were attacking. You know how the radical left, and right now, oh my goodness, there's stories is coming out right now about how the radical left, how they're attacking Jewish students. But that's for a different show. And actually, I'm going to talk about that a little bit later on my Culture War show. For those of you that want to see this is some of the most horrible things you could ever think of that's happening right now. And of course, I'm not going to share it right here because we're on Facebook and we're on YouTube. And they don't, they kind of, the information I want to share with you, they won't allow it. But you should be able to see it. But anyways, to get back to this ICE facility, here is one of the Democrat representatives fighting for these people that are here in America. They came legally, mind you. Okay. This one, I think we all agree they came here legally. They filled out the paperwork for their visa/green card. They came here and they were going to school. But when you violate your visa and your green card, guess what? You're subject to be deported. President Trump is not playing around. President Trump should kick these people out and let this be a lesson. You do not come to the United States of America talking about you want to eradicate the United States of America. You don't come to America and threaten other people because of their nationality. You don't do it. You don't do it. But these Democrats, they found a need. They found an ease with it, a pleasure in doing so. It's pretty disgusting, actually. Well, just like good Democrats, here's one. Instead of him doing the job of his constituents, he's here advocating for people that were terrorizing other people. Talking about being anti-Semitic. Really. Talking about being anti-Semitic.
Hello, I'm in Boston, heading to Louisiana to meet with Rumeysa Ozturk, a young woman who has been unfairly targeted and caught up in the chaos of policies rooted in fear and division. Her story is one of strength, but it's also a stark reminder of how the Trump administration has turned its back on some of the most vulnerable amongst us. Rumeysa shouldn't have to face this, and neither should.
Wait a minute. He said some of the most vulnerable amongst us? Did he actually just say that? So who was attacking who? Who was threatening who? The only reason why they're in this ICE facility right now is because they violated their visa rights. They violated them. They came here and they were attacking Jewish people. I mean, who was he talking about? Who's the most vulnerable here? Would you say, Shannon?
Yeah, they were causing chaos on the college campuses. These people were found to be part of the problem of what was happening, the anti-Semitic protests on campuses. And because they said, they didn't let everybody go. They only let the people that really they felt violated and were perpetuating hate against America and the Jews that were on campus. Some of these Jews, unfortunately, were locked in buildings. They were scared. They were harassed as they were walking around campus. And these are some of the people that perpetrated that. And they're sitting there saying that they're the most vulnerable. I don't get it.
Yeah, this is absolutely right down disgusting. Listen to him.
Reminder of how the Trump administration has turned its back on some of the most vulnerable amongst us. Rumeysa shouldn't have to face this, and neither should anyone. They have no evidence. They've made no charges. I'm here to listen to her, to stand with her, and to ensure that we push for the justice.
Wait a minute. You mean to tell me that the Trump administration is just picking people up off the street randomly because they're here on a visa and just putting them into an ICE detention facility? Is that what's happening here? How many of y'all believe that nonsense? How many of y'all believe that? Randomly just picking up innocent people. See, this is the problem. The Democrats that come out here and they make up all of these laws trying to get people worked up. And then next thing you know, you're going to have people all out in the streets protesting.
Which she deserves. This is about all of us. And it's time we demand more from our leaders. I'll be standing with Rumeysa this week, and I'll be fighting to make sure that the injustice she's faced is never allowed to happen again, and to make sure her story is heard.
I mean, you know what? I'm highly irritated with these Democrats because he's saying that they're there fighting for them because they need their help. Well, what about the American people? What about the American people that are struggling right now? Instead of him focusing on his constituents, he's there trying to focus on people. Personally, my personal opinion, if you're coming here and you hate people in this country, you shouldn't be here in the first place. I mean, the Democrats are all screaming right now, he's going to deport us all. Next, they're going to deport us all. If you're a Democrat and you're in this country and you're constantly talking about the destruction of the United States of America, I kind of don't see a problem with them deporting you. That's just my personal opinion. It's not going to happen. I can admit that. It's not going to happen. But I don't see a problem with them getting rid of you because you're not contributing to our society. You're not helping out at all. You're wanting the destruction of the United States of America. I constantly said this over and over and over. I repeat it like it's on a record player, on repeat, over and over. These Democrats do not care about the United States of America. They do not care about the people in America. They only care about power, the woke agenda, and every demonic thing that they can do. Everything that they can do that's evil under the sun, that's what they're focused on. They're not focused on making sure that people have access. They don't even want people to have access to health care. They really don't. Unless it's health care that's going to screw up somebody, like a little boy, a little girl. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Then they're all about it. Or if it's the most innocent of us all. When they're ending the life of the most innocent of us all. And they're all about it then. But other than that, they can care less. These people do not care about America. They want destruction in the United States of America. They're wanting the total collapse of the United States of America. So here's the facility that they went to. Here's the ICE facility that they went to. And all of this, of course, is just for the photo op, for the show. Like, we're here fighting for justice, the injustices that's happening to the people. We're here for them. Well, how come they weren't fighting for the people that were trying to simply go to a library on the college campus or trying to go to class? You notice they didn't fight for them at all. They kept screaming, well, people can protest. People can protest. What were they protesting? What did the students at these colleges have to do with the protests or with Israel? Just because they're Jewish? I'm going to go on a limb here and say some of these students have never even set foot in Israel. Like me. I've never set foot in Africa, but a lot of people associate black people with Africa. Why? I've never even been to Africa. I would like to visit, but you get a lot of people associating black people with Africa, even though I've never been there. But if something were to happen, this is a great example. If something were to happen in Africa, and of course the liberals hated it, they'd be like, oh my goodness, look at you, Will Johnson. You know, it's kind of happened before in the past, when the Democrats didn't want black people voting. Oh, y'all remember that? Oh, you didn't know that? Yeah, the Democrats didn't want black people. They didn't want civil rights. They didn't want black people to have rights. Oh, yes, this is the Democrat Party, the same Democrat Party of today, and there was no switch. That's a bald-faced lie. The same Democrat Party back then that was saying when Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves, well, who's going to pick our crops? Remember they were saying that. I'm telling you, who's going to pick our crops? Who's going to clean our homes? Who's going to do the jobs that we don't want to do? Sound familiar? Fast forward to 2025, the same Democrat Party saying the same exact thing today. Who's going to pick our crops? You even have Jasmine Crockett saying that nonsense. Who's going to pick our crops? Who's going to do the jobs that we don't want to do? Oh, and now they're talking about the black jobs. Remember, oh, what black jobs are you talking about, President Trump? Really? All of the black jobs that the Democrats dropped all of these people off into their neighborhoods and taking the jobs from them because they were paying them lower wages, under the table, actually. Those jobs. But look at this. And that's all it is. There's Presley and other Democrats coming out. I mean, this is despicable. So instead of them flying down to El Salvador, they said, well, this is a quicker trip. We can fly here to Louisiana and we'll go to this ICE facility where they're holding people that was terrorizing other people on college campuses. We'll go down there. Why are they there supporting the people that were terrorizing other people? Make it make sense. Make it make sense. Somebody please help me out. Why are they there? Why are they there supporting them? Because they love the criminal. They love the criminal and they hate Americans. They're demonstrating it every single day. I would love for someone to prove me wrong. I mean, look, I'm just telling you what they're doing. So if they're not in support of the criminals, then why is it that every single criminal that come to the surface, why are the Democrats running to support them? You know why? I'm going to tell you why. Because see, President Trump, he's the common sense president. He's the law and order president. And President Trump is saying, get rid of the criminal element. So just like President Trump saying America first, the Democrats say America last. Now, of course, they don't say it out loud, America last, but look at their actions. Their actions say it all day long. And here's President Trump saying, we're going to get rid of the criminals out of our country. Oh, how dare you, Mr. President Trump, want to get rid of the criminals in our country? How dare you? You're such a racist guy wanting to get rid of the criminals in our country. And of course, just like they don't say that part out loud either. Like they don't say America last. They don't say, how dare you want to get rid of the criminals? They say President Trump is a criminal when he was wrongfully tried. Wrongfully. And we all know it. This is the reason why President Trump is sitting in the White House today. The people have spoken. The people didn't buy the lies. Which brings me to another point I'm going to talk about in just a second. But part of the reason why all of the Democrats are running and jumping up and down for the hardcore criminals, the people that are terrorizing other people in this country, is because President Trump wanted them out of the country. So the Democrats do the opposite. We want the criminal element out. The Democrats want the criminal element in. It's that simple. They're laying it out for us. Which brings me back to this other point that I want to talk about. The American people voted President Trump in office. We voted him in to do what he's doing right now. This is the reason why we voted him in. And then you have these radical liberal judges, activist judges, that believe that they are above President Trump. And they're coming up with all of these orders saying President Trump can't deport this person, even though they're hardcore criminals. You can't do it, President Trump. And of course, all the Democrats saying President Trump needs to adhere to the courts. He needs to listen to the court order. I'm going to say this. The United States of America is in a second civil war, and it's not going to be like the first civil war. It's not. And we all know this. It's not going to be like the first one. This is a different type of warfare. And the Democrats have weaponized the court system to try to stop President Trump from doing the right thing. This is exactly what's happening. But the main point about the court system is that the American people have spoken. So let me ask y'all a question. What supersedes what? If more than half the country says that President Trump is the one that we want representing us because we want him to get rid of the criminal element out of the country, who supersedes who? Does the court supersede the people? The will of the people? You know, I think, to my understanding, it's constitutional. The will of the people? Or is it these rogue judges that come in and say, nope, the people don't know what they want because we're liberal. We get to tell the people what they want because they don't know better. We know better. See, my understanding in the Constitution is that we, the people, decide how we want the country to be ran. And we voted President Trump into office. Y'all let me know in the comments if I'm off the mark here. Y'all let me know. Is that how you see it too? So these rogue judges that are believing that they can do whatever and tell President Trump that, nope, you can't do your job until we give you or until we grant you permission to do your job. Who supersedes who here? And see, the Democrats, they didn't hide that they were going to do this. They told everybody that they were going to fight President Trump every step of the way through the court system. Because they weaponized the court system. Just like they weaponized the DA across the country, the DAs. They weaponized the local school boards across the country. They weaponized, I mean, if there's anything that they haven't weaponized, I can't even think of it. I mean, because if you think about it, they're even trying to weaponize air. That's a whole different subject. But they weaponize everything. Well, let me share another story with you. And this is actually good news. Out of New York, they've arrested 27 Tres de Agua terrorists. 27. Now, I don't know what facility that they're going to put him in. Probably one in Texas before they get him out of the country. Maybe they might even take him to, I'm surprised that they haven't gone to Guantanamo Bay yet. The Democrats. I'm surprised they haven't. But nonetheless, I think what's going to end up happening is that these Democrats, they're probably going to end up advocating and they're going to end up fighting for these Tres de Agua terrorists as well. Why not? Why not? They're fighting for the rest of them. If President Trump is against Tres de Agua, the Democrats are going to be for him. You know it.
That's right. Both Homan and Adams taking major action here, announcing the arrest of 27 suspected TDA members on Tuesday. But both say this is just the tip of the iceberg. Listen.
Every member of TDA should be on the run because the Trump administration is committed to removing every single member of TDA and MS-13 from this country.
This country is for those who believe in our rule of law, our principles, and are here to provide a life for themselves. It is not a safe haven for criminal behavior.
Authorities revealing during the press conference that over 30 guns were seized from the suspects. Now, this historic indictment marks the first time the alleged gang members are being hit with racketeering charges, commonly known as RICO charges, which the government used heavily to take down the mafia here in New York years ago. The charges carry the possibility of life in prison and accuse the alleged gang members of conspiring to commit murder, sex trafficking young women, assault, dealing drugs, and more. Homan saying this crackdown is just what the city needs.
Collaboration works. It keeps the city of New York safer. No one can argue. I don't care what side of the political spectrum you're on. No one can argue what happened here in the last several months that resulted in 27 TDA being indicted. No one can argue that doesn't make the streets of New York safer.
I mean, And you know what? The Democrats are upset with Mayor Adams because he was working with Tom Homan to get these people. They're upset with him. They're like, how dare you? How dare you support President Trump in removing the criminal element out of our country? How dare you? These people, they're supposed to be our fellow Americans. They really are. They're supposed to be fighting for Americans. They're supposed to be making our lives better. They're supposed to be working with other politicians to secure our borders, to secure our streets. When actual injustices are happening, they're supposed to be there to say, okay, look, we need to fix this. They're not doing any of that. They're doing just the opposite. And I know a lot of people, they kind of they don't like the fact when I bring up how they want to, when I bring up the fact that they want to do evil things and I say it's a spiritual battle. A lot of people don't like that, but this is exactly what it is. It's frustrating. It really is, because this stuff that we're talking about shouldn't even be a conversation. It shouldn't be. And all the crazy things that we're talking about, them fighting for Tres de Agua, them fighting for MS-13, them fighting for people coming to the country, terrorizing, and Jewish students, which a lot of them are American citizens. And so here it is, and it just dawned on me. You have people coming from the outside of the country on a visa, green card, and they come here and they're going to these pristine colleges and universities. And then you got other students that happen to be Jewish, but they're American citizens because a lot of them were born here, right? Some of them may not be, okay? But a lot of them are born here and they're going to class. So you got these people that are not American citizens and they come to America and they're terrorizing American citizens, and the Democrats look the other way. See, this is another example of something that shouldn't even be a conversation. And the Democrats don't want people like Will Johnson talking about it because they don't want people to look at it that way. But that's exactly what was happening. That is exactly what is happening. And they're pushing this, and they're pushing it, they're pushing the envelope to see how far they can go, to see what they can get away with. And then some people, a lot of people, quite a few people, don't like the fact how I make the connection of us being in the last days. And you know what, Shannon? Something kind of dawned on me. I've thought about it before, but it's just really been on my mind a lot here lately. Mm-hmm. Talking about the last days, and a lot of people would send me messages and said, "But Will, we've had people for a very long time tell us that we are in the last days." Right. And which is true. We've heard that. I've heard it.
Yeah.
We've heard it for many years.
I heard a lot more today than I have previously.
Yeah. Well, it's happening a lot more today.
Right.
Yeah. But the thing is, we've heard it in the past. Even before I was born, people were saying it.
Yep.
No argument there.
Right.
No argument. How, I think, you know what the problem, and the people go, well, and when they go, but Will, we've heard it all this time. You know what it is? A lot of people believe that the end times will happen the way it does in the movies.
Yeah, you're talking about
it's going to be really quick and swift, and all these different events will just take place within, like a matter of a month or 3 years or 7 years.
Right.
Right. They're thinking like the end time is going to happen like in a short amount of time, when that's not the case. Events take place, and the thing is, it is just like a mother with birth pains. The closer we get, the more intense the birth pains are. And that's what's happening right now. Wars and rumors of wars, famine and pestilence. We're seeing all of these things happening on the planet. Earthquakes in diverse places. And there have been so many earthquakes, they don't even really report on the earthquakes, which is kind of interesting. And they're like, oh, there's more earthquakes. There's more earthquakes. There's more earthquakes. No need to report on it. No need to report on it. And then if you go to, what is it? I think it's earthquake.gov or something like that. It's been a minute. But if you go look at they show the chart throughout the years, you will see it's intensifying. It is. I encourage everyone to go look at it. Maybe they changed the date on it, because the last time I was looking at it, it was intensifying. Well, here's some more. This woman here, she's one of the ones that is fighting for, not Laura Ingraham. This one, her name is Garcia. No, wait a minute. What is her name? I forget her name.
This is Yasmin.
Yeah, Yasmin. Yeah, Yasmin Ansari. She actually went down to El Salvador for the whole activist, movement. Well, Laura Ingraham brings up the point that a young lady here was found in the ground and her life was taken away by an illegal alien here in America. And Yasmin says, oh, that's just a distraction. It's a distraction? Really?
So before we go, Congresswoman, also in Maryland, I know American citizens and crimes committed against them might not be a top priority. It is for this show. An illegal alien from Guatemala was just charged with his girlfriend's murder in Maryland, same state, of course, Mr. Abrego Garcia is from. She was missing for 2 weeks, mother of 2 young kids. Police found her buried in a forest. Do you know about this story? Do your constituents care about those victims? And do you intend on calling that family, since Maryland residents are obviously a concern in some way, shape, or form for you and all the people of your state?
I'm appalled by any violence that takes place in this country. As a former city official, I have a very strong pro-public safety record, and that's why I believe in the rule of law, and that's why this case is so important. I think these questions are a distraction from the main issue, which is that Donald Trump is defying the Supreme Court of the United States, and every American should be concerned about it.
You see that? You know what? Yeah, Laura Ingraham, don't let her get away with it. How is it a distraction? Are we not talking about illegal immigration? Are we not talking about these gang members here in the United States of America harming American citizens? Are we not talking about this? I mean, you run down to El Salvador to help a gang member. This is absolutely proving what I've been saying about the Democrat Party. They do not care about American citizens. This is proving it.
Yes.
Congresswoman, I know you can't mean that, and I'm not trying to play gotcha here. I know you don't
every
mean
American,
that
Laura,
American
every
citizens
American should
are distractions.
No,
their victims aren't distractions.
You are changing the subject. Today, we are here to talk about the lack of due process for an individual who was illegally deported from this country.
He wasn't illegally deported. He's not even an American citizen. If I went to Russia and I snuck into Russia and Russia kicked me out of the country and flew me back to America and I'm sitting in a jail in the United States of America, Russia didn't illegally deport me. How was that illegally getting deported? He's not even an American citizen. I mean, come on.
That is the subject of this interview.
You have not,
any other act of violence.
But Congresswoman, I've given you just so everyone understands.
Appalling.
Yeah, well, the violence committed by illegal immigrants against innocent Americans and legal immigrants has been appalling.
It is devastating.
Absolutely appalling.
Any violence,
and I wish there was one moment where
in
Democrats acted like they cared about that.
One moment where Democrats act like they cared about that. They don't care.
Well, apparently it's all collateral damage. The Democrats who sat by with the open border. Yeah.
Right now we are worried about the constitutional crisis.
Right. Oh, the Constitution?
We are worried about the constitutional crisis and the lack of this president following the Supreme Court. I'm sure you believe in the Supreme Court and you believe in the rule of law in this country.
Were you worried when I know this is the progressive way of dealing with interviews where you just, I'm not trying to talk over you. I'm actually trying to get a question answered.
But they're not going to ever answer any questions because they want to deflect. How was this a constitutional crisis? We're talking about people that are not even American citizens. Then, okay, then if it was American citizens, then we would be in a constitutional crisis. Kind of like in January of 2021, where American citizens were being locked up without due process. Remember that? None of these Democrats wanted to make a trip to any of the jail facilities in D.C. None of them. They wanted American citizens to sit in the jail cells and rot. Not a single time Were they concerned about American citizens? But here it is. You have someone that's not even an American citizen, part of a gang, already been proven time and time and time again, part of MS-13, but they are who they want to fight for because they deserve due process. They brought all millions of people into the country, fast-track them to the country without going through the proper process. You know what, Shannon? I heard Jesse Waters even talking about that because it's so obvious. And then they actually made a point on there. You know how long it would take for them to go through due process on the way out?
Oh, yeah.
You know how long it would take?
If they even show up.
Yeah.
Because literally.
You know what? But let's just go on a whim and say they do show up. Let's just say they do show up.
Okay.
And you get, I guess what, like a few thousand a day? It would take 28 years. 28 years.
Yeah.
You see, the Democrats, they're like, we got to do the long game here. We got to prevent them. We got to give them due process. There was no process of them coming in. Give them the same process that they use coming into the country, going out. I think that would be fair. Right? It's common sense even. Give them the same process. You came in without any process, go out without any process. But the Democrats say, oh, no. We got to keep them here. And I think part of the reason that, this is something that I've been thinking here. Because a lot of people, and I'm going to bring Pam Bondi into this really quick. I think a lot of people are upset with Pam Bondi because it looked like she's not doing her job. And again, I'm trying to give her the benefit of the doubt here. What I think might possibly be happening here is that President Trump and his administration, they're getting rid of the foot soldiers for the Democrat Party. Because if it gets real hot and heavy in the United States of America, what do you think these gang members are going to do? Did you think about that, Shannon, at all? Just think about it. If President Trump, if he starts going after these career criminal politicians, if he starts going after these DAs that have been corrupt, Letitia James, Fonnie Willis, et cetera, if he starts going after these predominant Democrats for the criminal activity that they've actually done, that we've all seen them do, what do you think the foot soldiers of the Democrat Party will do? They're going to ask people to take it to the streets. You've already heard even Adam Kinzinger, which he's a total Democrat. Don't let him lie to you. And not just him, but other ones have said, hey, we need to take it to the streets. What do you think they mean when they say take it to the streets? Democrats are not saying take it to the streets and go out there and let's start singing with one another, singing Kumbaya. They're not doing that at all. They want to repeat what George Floyd was all about, the summer of love, but except for they want it 100 times worse. They want it 100 times worse because they never imagined in a million years that President Trump was going to get back into the White House. I mean, look at everything they tried to do to Trump to stop him from getting back in. They just knew that the American people were not going to vote for President Trump. They had it in their mind, fixated, that we're going to stop him. And now that they didn't stop him, and look what President Trump is doing. Oh, my goodness. Shannon, I created this meme with me, a picture. I had a picture of myself.
Uh-huh.
And I just put on there and I said, I said, I still don't regret my vote.
Yeah.
That's what I put on there. I said, I still don't regret my vote. And I said, no American does, right? I don't regret my vote.
Well, they've actually been talking a lot about this. And, they were saying that, through polls and stuff, they're asking Republicans that very question. A lot of them are saying, you know what, I do expect that there was going to be some hardships at first. Mm-hmm. I am expecting that there's a long game here, not a short-term game. So I'm willing to wait it out. I'm willing to see what Trump can do in the long run. We're not like immediate satisfaction, right? I mean, we are, but we know it's going to take time. We know that our government is broken and that is not fixed overnight. We actually respect the process. Unlike Democrats. They don't respect the process. In fact, they hate making America great again. And we've seen it through their moves. We've seen it through these they're moving through these activist judges. They're doing political stunts, like going to other countries and ICE facilities, but they're not caring about the American people. I don't know how long this message is going to last, because it is not resonating, not even with their base. Their approval number keeps going down.
Yeah. Their approval number keeps going down. And this was 25%, and just last week it was 27%.
Right.
So, and it keeps going down, and down.
And things like the stock market has started to bounce back. I mean, we're watching our stocks, right? And I know other people are too. And just in the past week, it's gone up. And they want us to be worried about China, but guess what? China is hurting. A lot of people don't know this, but China, they will not let you know that they're hurting. If you post in media, none of them are supposed to say how bad the economy is in China and how reliant they are on us and stuff. They're not allowed to do it. It's supposed to look all great and wonderful, but really Trump knows they're hurting, and he knows that they cannot sustain trying to have a tariff war with us. He knows that. And so slowly but surely, yesterday, guess what happened? Trump is saying, well, China's starting to turn the corner. Yep. Trump said it was going to happen. He knows.
Yeah.
He knows better than these Democrats, honestly.
Yeah.
Who pander to China and like, oh, we can't do that. We can't do this. Trump's like, yes, we can. We have the power. We're going to do it. We're going to make America great again.
Yep.
We are not going to let China overtake us as the number one superpower in the world.
Yeah.
I respect Trump.
But I think, you know what? It wouldn't surprise me if China has something to do with it, because, China, to my understanding, they just passed a law in China. This is a report. Okay. This is a report that we saw, that they were saying that if you're even in the United States of America, that you need to feed China intel.
That's true.
About the United States of America.
Students and everything. If you're here on student visa, whatever, you are supposed to be a spy, basically, for China.
Yeah, so there was like over 30,000 Chinese nationalists in the United States of America right now. And of course, the liberal media, the Democrats, they're gonna side with these people that are spying on America. You can't make it up. Watch this.
Over 250,000 Chinese nationals in our country right now on student visas. Does the administration believe there's any national security concern when it comes to those over 250,000 Chinese nationals in our country?
Well, as you know, when it comes to foreign visas, the Secretary of State has the right to revoke visas of those who we feel are acting in a adversarial way to our foreign policy interests here in the United States. He has that authority according to the Immigration and Nationality Act. So I would defer you to the State Department for any individual case, but they are looking at individuals who are given the privilege of being on a visa in our country. And if they are acting, again, adversarial to our foreign policy interests, their visa can be revoked, and they should be aware.
Their visa can be revoked, and they should be aware of that. Do the right thing, and you'll be okay. This, it's really a no-brainer. Do the right thing, and you will be okay. But see, Democrats, they can't do the right thing. Democrats don't know how to do the right thing. Democrats fight for everything that is wrong. I mean, look, you can't make it up. Now, I'm sitting there talking about it. And, of course, a lot of these Democrats, they don't like the fact that I do talk about it. Well, stop doing it then. I used to say this all the time. Stop doing it. If you don't like me talking about it, then stop doing it. See, they want to do it, but they don't want you to talk about it, because when you start talking about it, then it kind of shows exactly how off the wall they are. Like every time I go to certain events, when I go to an event and they always put the sign in front of the camera. They always put the sign in front of the camera. Yeah, right. And I'm just trying to have a conversation with them. And I'm always saying, look, if you are doing something that is so positive, why wouldn't you want the world to see it? Right. And they go, well, you're going to take my words and edit it. I said, no, we're live right now. I said, we're live. You can say what you want. I'm not going to edit it. I mean, and besides, you say what you say. Like if I tell you 2 + 2 = 4, I mean, are you going to edit it? I mean, how would you edit that to make me look any different? I would like to know. How would you do that? How would you do that? Here's some more information and more proof how the Democrats they're wanting to fight for the people that are not American citizens. And you know, they're even saying that some of these people that are illegals now are constituents, meaning that they voted.
The minute you start to have judicial officers performing the tasks that belong fundamentally to either the executive or legislative branch, you've got a problem. Look, like a lot of Americans, I feel a profound sense of frustration at the fact that we've got this situation. Over the last 4 years, we've had, depending on who you listen to, anywhere from 15 million to 20 plus million illegal immigrants brought into this country, essentially at the invitation of President Biden, with the welcoming arms of then Secretary of Homeland Security Alejandro Mayorkas, saying, come on in. And so we've been flooded with millions, some would say tens of millions of illegal immigrants. It can't be like getting an act of Congress every time you want to export a dangerous, a violent, felon illegal immigrant. And yet you've got people like Judge Boasberg, who apparently wish they had gone into politics and would rather be serving as president of the United States than a federal district judge. The minute you start to have judicial officers performing the tasks that belong fundamentally to either the executive or legislative branch, you've got a problem. And I'm hoping the Supreme Court can help us get this cleared up and cleared up quickly.
You know, the Supreme Court should be on the side of the law, the Constitution. It's just my personal opinion, you know, but there are some radical activist judges sitting on the Supreme Court. Some of them don't even know what a woman is. I'm just saying. Some of them don't even know what that is. Some of them don't even know what that is. All right. So I just want to let y'all know we're live on Instagram as well. So this is the first time I've gone live on Instagram, and not even sure because I can see. For some reason, I can't see the live feed on my phone, on my own account. So, I mean, because I would like to go look at some of the comments of people leaving comments, but it's not even showing it to me. I don't even know how to get to it. But you see it, right, Shannon? Okay, I guess that's all that matters. I guess that's all that
I
matters.
can see. You don't need to see it. You are the show.
I just want to make sure it's going through because, you know, when people leave comments, I look at the comments everywhere because I'm live on peel.net. I'm live on Rumble. I'm live on YouTube. I'm live on Facebook, live on X, and we're also now live on Instagram. And it's the first time I went live on Instagram, and I think it's pretty interesting. And to my understanding, it sounds pretty good too.
It does. And just so people know, we are going to start going live every day on Instagram.
Yep.
From, 12 to 1 Eastern time.
Yep. So it's pretty cool.
So
pretty
tune
cool.
in, yeah.
Pretty cool. Okay. I want to share something else with everyone that is watching. You know, the Democrats, part of the reason why they lost is because they kept trying to say that President Trump, he's a fascist, he's a supremacist, he's a misogynist, he's hateful, he's a Nazi, they've constantly said all of this rhetoric over and over and over again. Constantly said this rhetoric. And the American people didn't buy it because look, who's sitting in the White House right now? If the American people bought all the lies from the radical left, then he wouldn't be sitting there. But their new thing is that, and I had no idea that, well, I've heard about this story before, but I'm not making association like the Democrats. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about President Trump mentioning that he would like for more Americans to have children. Nothing wrong with that. Right? I mean, you have other nations and other countries, they're multiplying like rabbits. But for some reason here in the United States of America, the Democrats have convinced a lot of people not to have children. You don't want to have children, it'll ruin your career. They make up every excuse under the sun to convince black women not to have children, specifically black women. They don't leave out the other women, but they most definitely target black women than any other nationality, any other. Well, now they're saying that because President Trump is actually asking for Americans to have children, they're associating President Trump with Nazi Germany. I mean, you can't make it up.
4 babies. President Trump's team working on plans to get American women to have more of them, more babies, according to the New York Times. The ideas include a, quote, National Medal of Motherhood for having 6 or more kids and a $5,000 cash baby bonus. Harry Anton is here now to tell us something we don't know. So, Harry, first, let's just start with the premise here, which does come from a reality of a drop in the birth rate.
Absolutely.
Which how dramatic is that?
I mean, it's pretty gosh darn dramatic. I mean, compare the peak after World War II back in 1957, where the average woman is having over 3 babies, right? And then it dropped down already 1990 to just 2.1. And now we're at 1.6 as recently as 2023. That is below the rate folks want. You want it to be at least 2 in order to replenish the population. And that is a dramatic drop of over 2 kids from just 1957 to 2023.
All right. And a lot of things can drive that, increased prosperity, et cetera. And many countries do drive a decline in birth rates. But in this particular case, what's driving it?
People, it's so funny. Pew Research polled folks who are not having kids and asked, why aren't you having kids? The number one reason is they just don't want to, Aaron. That's the number one reason, 57%.
Well, why did so many people all of a sudden just don't want to? And you know why? And they're leaving out the key details. See, they're saying, oh, they just don't want to. No, there's a reason why. And I've actually talked to some younger people. And for those of you that don't know, and I don't really talk about my personal family life that much, but I have 3 children. They're young adults now. So now I kind of talk about them. I still don't really say their names, what they do or anything like that, because I don't want the radical left harassing them. If you want to harass somebody, by all means, send it my way. It's okay. I think you should be able to harass me all you want to. Well, to the limit. There's a limit on there, okay? But I'm just saying, leave my family out of it. But I have a daughter, and she's a young adult. And one day, Will Johnson would like to have grandbabies. But my daughter, because of all of the stupid stuff that the liberals have been putting out there about our world and all the change, she's like, I don't know if I should have children. So they've been fear-mongering people not to have kids, which this is the information that they're leaving out. It's not that they're like, well, I just don't want to. Well, there's a reason why. And then when women and men get together and they end up getting pregnant, the Democrats say, well, look, if you want to advance your career, you're going to have to do the do. So they've convinced a lot of people not to have children. And of course, like I just said, they leave that key detail out.
Focus is elsewhere, 44%. The world's a mess. Concern about the world, 38%. Interesting, look at what's at the bottom of that list. At 36% is can't afford. So, in fact, when it comes to affordability, that's actually low on the list.
All right, so National Medal of Motherhood is one of the things they're talking about. When I heard that, and that was for 6 or more kids, there's a history of medals for having children. Nazi Germany actually did something like that. They wanted women to have more children. They gave out a motherhood medal.
Yes.
Tell us something we don't know.
Yeah, I'll tell you something you don't know. In terms of countries that have actually given out medals for motherhood, it's not exactly the 1927 Yankees. All right, what are we talking about? You mentioned Nazi Germany under Hitler. How about the Soviet Union under Stalin? How about Russia with, of course, Vladimir Putin? You'll look at the list of countries that have given out medals to mothers for awards for essentially, having kids. These are not the countries you generally want to follow. So when Trump says that, he wouldn't exactly be joining a very good company, we'll put it mildly. Very good company.
Wow. I mean, really? Really? You know who else encourages people to have children, Shannon? And the Democrats are against? No guesses? No guesses? God.
Yes.
God said, be fruitful.
Yep, he sure did.
So once again, if President Trump is for what God has ordained, what God has created, Trump is for it because he's saying, look, we need to have more babies. We need to have more babies. The Democrats are saying, oh, no. That's like being like Hitler. How dare you have a child? How dare you want a child? You're being like Hitler now. When I first saw that, I'm like, are you kidding me? It can't be real, right? This can't be real. But no, they're actually pushing it, because anything that President Trump is for, they are 100% against. They're 100% against it. It's the most disgusting thing you could ever imagine happening. The most disgusting thing ever. And the fact that we're seeing it happen in our lifetime, let me put it this way. We are living in a time where we're seeing history being made. We have a president in the White House, and I've made the statement multiple times before, that is the greatest president to ever set foot in the White House. The greatest president. He's the greatest president to ever set foot in the White House. Look everything that he's done. I mean, and to put on, more frosting on top of it, look what President Trump had to go through. And a lot of people, President Trump himself say, well, I didn't have to do this. I didn't have to do this. And I go and say, yeah, President Trump, you did. President Trump had to do it because God put it in his heart for him to do it. He didn't have a choice. And this is the reason why. And the American people, they saw the direction that the Democrats want to take our country. And we said, no, we're not with that. We don't want that. We don't want it. The American people spoke up. With that said, we can't stop speaking. We can't get relaxed now. We can't sit on the couch and think everything is fine. We can't not do that. So you want to show that, Shannon? So we have on our website, because one of the most frustrating things to me is that Congress, both the House and the Senate, which right now is controlled by the Republicans, can y'all tell me what bill have they passed? Has any bills gone to President Trump's desk as of yet? Not his desk. No, they have passed the SAVE Act. Well, but the point is, it passes in the House and go to the Senate, then it goes to the president's desk. Yeah. Right? And that's how it's supposed to operate. Yeah. Has there been anything that has gone to President Trump's desk that he has signed off from Congress? Not that I can recall, and it is frustrating. And every single executive order that President Trump does, President Trump, he does executive order, Congress should immediately pass a bill in the House for that one executive order, and then it should go to the Senate, and they should pass it so it'll go back to President Trump's desk so they can make it law. So what we've done here, and I'm asking everybody in the last few minutes that we have here, I'm asking everybody, go to my website, uniteamericanfirst.com. Is it a link to it, Shannon? Did you put it on the front page? How do people get here? It's on the front page. Okay, so it's on the front page. Yeah. And we want people to focus in on this. We need to call our Republican representatives and tell them to get off their butts and start passing these bills. Time is running out. Time is running out. We're just over 90 days, about to go on 100 days, and they haven't passed a single one yet to go to President Trump's desk. What in the world are they doing? What are they doing? I don't understand. So I know if I'm frustrated, I can only imagine how you're feeling too. So on my website, uniteamericanfirst.com, right on the front page, you can scroll down a little bit and you can see the information. And my producer, she's also even put a script there. Yeah. For people to, when you call them. Yep. So on the left-hand side, it has the website where you can click representatives, go to a representative, or you can even call just the Capitol switchboard and ask them for your representative. Or if when you go to their information, you can also email them. So this phone script can easily be also turned into an email. But we need to be loud and we need to be clear. These Democrats, they're being loud, they're being clear, and we're just kind of sitting by going, oh, well, I hope this happens one day. We want everybody to start taking action. Let's put a fire behind these Republicans, because guess what? It's already almost been, it's going on 5 months, right? And what have they done? Pretty soon it's going to be midterms. And if we lose in midterms, then any opportunity they had to pass anything is going to be gone. We need to take action right now. We should have single bill items passed every single week. Let's go. So President Trump, if he can do 10 executive orders in one day, these Republicans in the House can pass 10 bills in a day. I mean, it's really that simple. Whatever that one executive order is, it's a one bill thing. They all discuss it. They all debate it. They all vote on it. What does it take? What does it take? I mean, come on. There's only so much they can do, right? And then do the next one. But see, they've all gotten accustomed to, well, I need this in there. I need that in there. I need this in there. I need that in there. It's so sickening. It is so sickening. Hey, go to my website as well, uniteamericafirst.com. Sign up for that free newsletter. We're going to put that information in the free newsletter as well. Okay, so sign up for the free newsletter while you're on the website. We're going to send that information out because we got to get everybody to see this. We got to get everybody to start calling them and saying, look, you've got to start passing these bills. What are you doing? We're running out of time. You know what it is? We're spoiled like Elon Musk with Doge. That's what it is. We think someone else is just going to do it. We don't have to do anything. That's not the case. That's not the case. All right, everybody. That's it for me. I will see you tomorrow right here, 11 o'clock Central. Write it down. Set an alert on your mobile device. 11 o'clock Central, no matter how you're watching this. God bless everybody. See you tomorrow.